Arcangelo Zadkiel, refining your personal energy field. Greetings, beloved ones. We are Archangels Amethyst and Zadkiel, and we greet you with love. Today, we wish to discuss oneness and divine love. You are part of the vast, unlimited energy of Source. Everything that is, or will be, is part of the energy of Source. This is the energy of oneness. The energy of Source is composed of divine love and light. It is the highest frequency that exists. It is the universal heartbeat. This radiating energy is at the core of all of creation. It is the core of oneness. As you consider the concept of oneness, you become aware that you and all of creation burst forth from the same one source. Each being contains the same core essence. It is the essence of divine love. This is the essential essence of who you are, and always will be. You are divine love at your core. As you and all other beings came into your individualized consciousness, you began to explore and develop your own unique gifts and talents. This was part of the great divine plan. There were many roles that were needed in manifested creation, and you graciously stepped forward to play your unique role. You came forth with a unique blend of talents and qualities to fulfill your role in the betterment of the great divine plan. Divine love has always remained as the core and overarching quality of your being. It assured that your connection to Source would always be supreme. Divine love and oneness remain at the core of your being. This awareness of who you are leads to an exploration of what this means for you in daily life. The first realization is that you are part of Source and that this connection resides in your divine spark, in your heart center. As you tune into this realization, you are aware that you are part of something much greater than yourself. A second realization is that all beings contain a divine spark. Therefore, all beings are part of Source and are part of the great oneness. You have a connection with all beings through the divine spark. Even though you may express your individuality in different ways, you still contain the shared essence through your divine spark. The shared essence is composed of several qualities. Divine love is at the core. Embracing divine love aligns your frequency with that of Source. Divine love permeates your being. As your frequency increases, your perspective may rise to a higher level. You may see that there are many aspects of another being, or a situation. It may not be an either-or situation. This does not mean that you always agree with what someone else does. It means that you are able to view them as another being who also has the Source energy through their divine spark. This recognition often leads to expressions of compassion, kindness, and understanding. You want the highest good for all. You carry this vibration wherever you are. It ripples out from you in your immediate surroundings, around your planet, and into the multi-dimensions. To continue to raise your frequency, you may wish to focus on your divine spark, oneness, and divine love each day. The more you focus on it, the higher your frequency becomes. Your entire being merges with this awareness. Beloveds, we are happy that you are focusing on oneness and divine love, for highest good. Know that you are greatly loved. We are Archangels Amethyst and Zadkiel. And we surround you with love. And so it is. The Yayhyel, creating the new earth. Hello, we are the Yayhyel. Shivai, good day. We come to you from our ships above your cities at this time. We station our ships in these locations for the purpose of harmonizing the energies. The shift as the dimensional shift occurs, there is much fluctuation of energy in your world. And it is time you took a breather for many of you. Many of you fighting on the front lines in the war against the darkness are somewhat exhausted, and it may serve you to take some time away from your daily duties. The fluctuating energies can be overwhelming. And fighting on the front lines is causing you to get caught up in the confusing psychic mind chatter that is pervading your world at this time. Take some time out, stand back. Reassess and rebalance your energy fields in readiness for the next phase of our agenda on Earth to introduce you to the hidden truth of your reality. The truth that has been before your eyes for eons, but has been hidden from you for the selfish gain of the few and the oppression of the many. Awakening, but now the masses are awakening. They are coming to understand the information issuing from your mainstream media outlets is nothing more than propaganda designed to keep you in a loop of perpetual suffering, disconnected from who you are and why you are here, keeping you from your mission on Earth. The powers that be in your world are terrified of you stepping into your own power, terrified of you taking control of your lives and stepping back into who you are and why you are here, because they know it will signal the end of their stranglehold on your reality and their ability to siphon of your energy and resources for their own selfish needs. So step up and be strong, become who you came here to be. Understand the old system can no longer serve your world, and was never really designed to do so. The new Earth, the secret to the new Earth is that you are a conscious living organism. None of you are separate from world, or your planet. And the secret to living in harmony with your world is symbiosis. When you are living in flow state aligned with your calling, your mission, and higher mind, you are acting as part of one symbiotic organism. And you are bringing the world back to balance. Do not let others tell you who you are, or how to live your life. Break out of your conditioning. See the love, see the light, see the joy. Be free in your dreams of infinite life and existence forevermore. We are all free in this new dream of reality, the true destiny of Earth. Amen. And remember, we can't fight fire with fire, or the fire will only get bigger. We fight darkness with eternal unconditional love. And this is the secret that has been hidden from you. That love is the greatest power in creation. Amen. Shivai, and good day Earth humans, good day. Tunia, Discrimination Land. My dearest brothers and sisters, this is Tunia speaking. I love you so very much. Today I will tell you a story that is likely going to make you quite uncomfortable. However, there is an important point to the story, as will be revealed later in the message. Or perhaps you will realize the point yourself during the story. Imagine there is a land called Discrimination Land. In Discrimination Land, it is socially acceptable to say in public that black people are the source of society's problems. In Discrimination Land, even government officials sometimes joke that white people are superior to black people in some way. People don't get in trouble for making these jokes. In fact, many white people see it as charming. When someone jokes that white people are superior to black people in some way, if a black person were to speak out against this, it would be the black person speaking out who would be seen as doing something inappropriate. Conversely, in Discrimination Land, white people are less accepting of jokes about black people being superior to white people in some way. White people are generally fine with jokes about black people being stupid, but not with jokes about white people being stupid. In Discrimination Land, some black people are loved and respected, including by white people. However, just an average black person, without anything special going for him, is sometimes treated as suspicious until proven innocent, just because he's black. It is socially acceptable to say that you crossed the street because you saw a black person walking towards you and you felt unsafe. Most people subconsciously see black people as inherently not having any value, and as only having value if they can do or produce things. Meanwhile, most people subconsciously see white people as inherently having value. Consequently, there are a lot of resources and organizations that are openly saying that they are only helping white people, while there are very few black-only resources and organizations. There is also much more government funding for help-only white people organizations than for help-only black people organizations. In Discrimination Land, social clubs for exclusively white people are seen as completely illegitimate and understandable. It is seen as obvious that some white people want to be in a space where there are no black people present. Meanwhile, social clubs for exclusively black people are seen as suspicious and potentially problematic. The only legitimate kind of black people-only club would be one in which black people are explicitly there to better themselves in some way. But just a black people-only club where black people can hang out with each other and talk, and have a drink, and perhaps play some chess. Oh no, a number of white people see that as very bad. Even though white people also think that it is completely acceptable and understandable for a white person to want to be in a space where there are explicitly no black people allowed. In discrimination land, courts and police are theoretically supposed to be fair. However, if there is a conflict between a white and a black person, cops and courts are usually strongly biased in favor of the white person. And everyone knows this. White people also get measurably lighter punishment for the same crime than black people do. This is seen as a good thing, because black people are seen as inherently more violent, and thus as deserving of harsher punishment if they commit a crime. Few people care that even if black people really are more violent in general, that doesn't mean that it's fair for an individual black person to receive a harsher punishment for the same crime than an individual white person would. White people like to talk about equality. However, if there was a referendum on whether practical measures should be implemented to make sure that courts gave equal punishment to white and black offenders, many, and perhaps most white people would secretly vote against these measures. Many white people like that white people get lighter punishment for the same crime. Some white people don't like this, but also don't do anything, even though if the moderate white people took a bit of action, then this unfairness would be resolved quite quickly. That's a pattern in general. You have the white people who openly say that it is good that they have privilege over black people in certain areas, such as being preferentially hired. These white people will often actively work to defend or even extend their privilege, and they will actively work to hurt black activists. And then you have the moderate white people who acknowledge that it is unfair, but they don't take any action to change things, and they also don't support initiatives by black activists. And so, the discrimination continues. White people may be willing to help an individual black person if that individual is particularly well liked or seen as valuable. However, if black people as a group have a problem, then white people generally only give lip service to the idea of helping black people. Meanwhile, white people feel that black people should tangibly and practically help white people. Even if the problem that black people face is clear systemic discrimination against them, white people will generally only give lip service to the idea of helping them. However, if white people feel that they are being disadvantaged in any small way whatsoever, then white people will mobilize and take action and ask for tangible help from black people. In discrimination land, many businesses will prioritize hiring white people over black people, either as official policy or secretly. Again, some white people openly like this, and some white people don't like it, but they also don't lift a finger to change the situation. Similarly, there are also quite a few scholarships for exclusively white people, even though white people are already more likely to attend university. It is not socially acceptable to be a black people's rights activist. Even the more moderate white people often oppose black people's rights activists. In discrimination land, far more black people kill themselves than white people. But no one really cares. Usually, people just say that it's up to black people to change this. In discrimination land, black people do the vast majority of the hard, tough, dangerous, dirty work that is needed to keep society running. Far more black people die at work than white people. White people do safer and relatively more comfortable work with fewer and more convenient hours. These kinds of comfortable office jobs often discriminate against black people during the hiring process. Are white people grateful that black people do the hard, uncomfortable, demanding jobs that are needed to keep society running? Usually not. It's more common that white people work fewer hours and do more convenient and comfortable work, and then complain that black people earn more money. Even though white people make as much as black people if they work the same hours at the same job. Any perceived unfairness against white people is complained about bitterly by some white people, even if that unfairness doesn't actually exist. In discrimination land, if a ship is sinking and there are too few spots on the rescue boat, people think that black people should willingly give up their spots to white people and accept their death. A number of white people also think that, if war breaks out, that the government should draft black people but not white people to go fight. Meanwhile, people talk about black privilege. In discrimination land, more research money is spent on a kind of cancer that primarily affects white people, and far less research money is spent on a kind of cancer that only affects black people. Despite this, many white people insist that they are victims and that society is rigged to benefit black people. Sometimes the term toxic blackness is used. It is not socially acceptable to talk about toxic whiteness. If black people complain, both black and white people often tell them to black up, which means shut up, don't complain, don't show your pain, and go do some productive work. The supposed equality movement for white and black people is called whiteism, and it contains some white people who absolutely hate black people. The more moderate white people in the whiteism movement make no real effort to tell the people in their movement to stop openly saying that they hate black people. They are more concerned with trying to get black people to behave in a way that benefits white people. Despite the claims that whiteism is a true equality movement that is good for white and black people, whiteism almost never takes tangible action to address clear cases where black people face systemic discrimination. So, that is what discrimination land is like. It sounds like a horrible dystopia, right? Well, you may very well be living in discrimination land. If you replace black person with man, and white person with woman, then the above dystopia is the West, as it is today. So yes, the entire story was one big metaphor about the West, in 2024, with black people standing in for men, and white people standing in for women. People are used to thinking of men as evil privileged oppressors, and think of black people as victims who should be helped. Therefore people are often emotionally fine with men being treated badly, but not with black people being treated badly. That is why his message is so uncomfortable. However, in the West in 2024, I really don't think that it is useful to treat men as evil privileged oppressors. Are there individual men who genuinely are evil privileged oppressors? Yes, there are. But that doesn't justify treating men as a group in that way. In the West in 2024, average men really don't have more privilege on the whole than average women do. Rich men also aren't rigging society to benefit men. See, for example, more money being spent on breast cancer research than on prostate cancer research, or there being more women's university scholarships than men's university scholarships, even though already more women attend university. I'm not saying that black people and women don't face discrimination. And yes, there are differences in context between men, black people, women, and white people. Still, if some treatment of black people in this message made you really uncomfortable, then I invite you to consider if it is okay to treat men that way. Because I really don't think it is helpful to treat people more harshly, in this case men, just because they were born into a certain group. With respect to some parts of my message, people might want to argue it is understandable to treat men more harshly because men statistically commit more crimes. Well, poor illiterate immigrants who come from a completely different culture statistically commit more crimes too than native-born citizens. So should we also treat these immigrants more harshly than native-born citizens? See, immediately it becomes uncomfortable again, at least to some people. Personally, I'm in favor of saying that if anyone commits a crime, be they a man, an immigrant, a Muslim, a Jew, or whoever, then hold that individual accountable. But don't treat the entire group harshly just because that group as a whole is allegedly more likely to do bad things. Hence, don't give an individual man a harsher sentence for the same crime than a woman, just because men as a group are seen as more violent than women. Now yes, despite all this, I completely acknowledge that society is harsh and unfair and awful towards women. And I am sorry, my beautiful sisters, you indeed deserve to be treated so much better than you are. However, average men aren't treated any better by society than you are. Saying that the problem is the patriarchy is in practice often just a roundabout way of engaging in whiteism, to use my earlier metaphor for feminism. The solution for women isn't fighting men, or trying to outcompete men, or trying to demasculinize men. The solution for women is to come together with men, and to actually work together for the common good, and that includes doing more than giving lip service to the idea of changing areas where women are unfairly privileged over men. From my perspective, it's a bit shocking that some women have great ideals and are very warm towards men they like, but are cold and callous and uncaring towards average men, and wouldn't even vote to end pro-female discrimination if someone created a referendum for that. Obviously this isn't true for all women, but it is true for a substantial number of women. Think back to discrimination land earlier. Do you think that there can be a white person who has reached the highest levels of spiritual attainment, who never spends a little effort to help a black person, and who never speaks out against the unfairness that benefits her group and hurts black people? I don't think so. I think in this case, such a white person is either still dealing with her own trauma, fair enough, or she is in separation consciousness. Because if she genuinely was in unity consciousness, and indeed saw black people men as being part of herself, then she would at least occasionally spend a little effort to help a man, or speak out on their behalf. Or alternatively, you can adopt the traditional feminine mindset, where your role as a woman is to be modest and respectful towards all non-criminal men, and to obey and support, and love, and cherish, and provide housekeeping and sex to your husband, and to give your husband authority over your family, and over society. As a traditional woman, don't divorce your husband just because you're not happy, and then take half his stuff. If you fulfill the traditional feminine role, then it's not inconsistent to have the attitude that men should fix their own problems, and fix the problems of society besides. It's fine to expect men to fix society, and fulfill the traditional male role, if you fulfill the traditional female role. Because if you expect men to be the ones to take responsibility to fix society, then you must give them authority over society. It doesn't make sense to expect someone to take responsibility without giving them authority. The other option is to adopt the modern position that men and women should be equal and have equal roles. Well, in this case you want men to help women out and you want men to address things that are structurally unfair towards women, right? Well, if you want equality, that means that women should also actively help men out and actively work to fix structural unfairness towards men. It doesn't really work to say, oh yeah, I agree, but some other woman should do that, or it's not my responsibility to help men, because almost all women are saying that. If courts or hiring practices blatantly discriminated against women, then women also wouldn't accept it. If nearly all men said, oh yeah, I agree, but some other man should fix that, or it's not my responsibility to help women. If women kill themselves 3 to 4 times as much as men, or if 92% of workplace deaths occur to women, then women would expect men to immediately help them, right? And indeed, men would immediately take action in that situation. Well, in reality, men kill themselves 3 to 4 times as much as women do, and 92% of workplace deaths happen to men. So, it would be good if women could start helping men. I know life isn't all sunshine and roses for women either, but women don't face the level of systemic discrimination that men do. Even the more moderate and reasonable women usually don't support male men's rights activists, even the ones who make very reasonable requests. Hence, men can't change this by themselves. Moreover, it's not a very enlightened perspective to be in a group with unfair privilege, and to say that it's up to the discriminated against people to change that. I'm not saying that every woman must dedicate her life to men's rights. I'm just suggesting that women occasionally speak up against the unfairness, or occasionally spend a little effort to help average individual men. Men have been a lot better in the last 100 years with listening to women, and agreeing to reasonable requests, than women have been about listening to average men, and agreeing to reasonable requests. Maybe that was appropriate in the past, back when women genuinely didn't have certain rights. But it's not appropriate anymore, because average men really aren't unfairly privileged anymore. The number of men in certain highly paid positions is just a result of more men choosing to study certain subjects, and more men choosing to work 60+ hours per week. If you would protest against companies preferentially hiring white people but wouldn't protest against preferential hiring of women, then you might have some victim mentality or anti-man resentment to work through. If women demanded an end to female-only hiring quotas, for example, it would go away immediately. And the day that women actually take some real-world action to help average men might very well be the day that your society starts healing. Until that happens, your society might very well keep declining. Average men are the workhorse of society. So long as the workhorse keeps being neglected and beaten and told to fix its own problems, I think your society will just keep getting worse so long as there is no big intervention. If everyone sees it as not their responsibility to help the workhorse, then everyone suffers because you all need the workhorse to work, and the workhorse is currently sick and can't do it alone and needs love and care. Let's say that the supply of money in a society remains stable. However, the workhorse of society is severely ill, and as a result fewer goods are produced. Well, now the same amount of money is chasing fewer goods, and hence prices go up. And hence there is inflation. So yes, reckless amounts of new money are being created, but part of the inflation also comes from the workhorse of society, average men struggling so much, and no one helping the horse. The good news is that even relatively small actions can make a big difference. I understand that not everyone has the energy to organize an anti-male discrimination demonstration. But even just being kind to an average man, and not only being kind towards the exceptional men, or giving men a compliment, or listening to them can make their month. This channeler still remembers that a random woman gave him a glass of water a decade ago when he was outside working during a hot day. Seemingly average men are very unused to receiving kind gestures from random women. Men are also so unused to being appreciated that they often remember compliments for years or for the rest of their lives. So, you can help a man a lot with not much effort. Even just a little appreciation and kindness goes a long way. I wish you a very good week. With love. Your star sister, Tunia. sorceryofflight.com. The other videos are in the English video playlist. Help me spread the light, click like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.